to the cloud.
I take it I'm on then. The eclipse next week, 2nd of October, annular eclipse, mostly across the South Pacific, but making a landfall into Patagonia and Chile and Venezuela and across part of Falkland Islands. Case will be observing it. It lines up with WWVH in approximately the same way the April eclipse lined up with CHU. We have Lynn and Bobby Shorts of Walker Farms in Falkland Islands recording it there. It's a convenient time for them to keep their amateur station quiet because it's the spring sheep shearing season, and they will be shearing 25,000 head of sheep over about a month. It's beyond my comprehension, but
Just the two of them?
They hire 4 hands for that. Otherwise, the 2 of them run a 250,000 acre farm.
Wow.
Ranch, I guess. Yeah, I may have to buy a wool sweater this winter just in honor of it all. Yeah, it's really amazing. And the area of maximum eclipse for the annularity in Patagonia is quite remote. So Maris Usis, our master's degree student, who was part of the project team that monitored CHU in April, is traveling with radio equipment to Tortel, Chile. If you care to draw up a Google map or something of where Tortel is, he is flying to Santiago, Chile, renting a car and driving for half a day on gravel roads to get to this little town in the middle of nowhere and set up radio equipment for the greater glory of Hamsai, basically. So think nice thoughts about Maris. We'll try to get him on to discuss it later. And that's what I know.
That's wonderful, David.
Tortel, Chile. This is the middle of nowhere.
Wow. And if you want to get, publicize this anymore, certainly feel free to work with Gary, and he can help. You can write up an article for the website or the listserv, and Gary can help you get the word out. So I think this is really wonderful.
Yeah, let's do that. There is another amateur and professor of radio astronomy in Santiago, Chile, who will be a bit involved. He's well off the path, but his line is this will be national news in Chile.
That sounds wonderful. Congratulations.
Yeah, thanks. It's really amazing that we are able to send Maris to do this.
Hopefully we'll get him back.
Yeah, we'll get him back.
That's an important part of that, important part of this, isn't it?
Yeah, think happy and safe thoughts to Maris.
Yeah. Great.
I didn't actually join. I'll send the minutes to the chat as per usual. Does anyone else have any announcements?
I don't think I have any significant announcements at the moment.
Gary, do you want to mention the CHU eclipse data collection at the conference this afternoon?
Gary, you're muted.
Okay, now it says unmuted. How's that?
Yeah, it works better.
Okay, I see green dots in the mic. Thank you. The ham science call this afternoon, we had a fairly light agenda, so I thought it'd be worthwhile to review David's article from the Canadian Amateur of their cases experiment along the eclipse path back in April. So if any of the principals from that experiment want to join us, that'd be great at 4 p.m. Eastern this afternoon. If not, I can at least review his article. And I think there's some interesting graphics and different ways of presenting the data that I think the group this afternoon will be interested in.
Good.
That's
I'm
it.
sorry that I can't attend. I did send a note to everyone else who is involved. So I hope someone else will be able to. Thank you for
Good.
writing that.
I guess I'll make another, I think I'm looking forward to that presentation this afternoon, and I will make another announcement. Nick Hall Patch, who's usually on the afternoon group, he has been curating reception of AM broadcast medium wave signals, and he has sent both me and Christina hard drives of that data. So we have that now. I don't have any particularly strong plans for this data as of yet, so we should figure out, what we want to do with this exactly. But the data exists, and if anyone is interested in getting a copy of it or doing something with it, you can let us know, and we can discuss what the best way to get that information to you is.
We had a high school student in the Little Rock, Arkansas group that helped us monitor CHU who was interested in AM broadcast station propagation monitoring. Can we write up a slightly simplified version of this for him to ponder and maybe get started with?
Probably.
Let's talk about that then.
Yeah, it might work. Nick Hall Patch has done a great job kind of coordinating and curating all of this. So what you might do is he knows the data set much better than I do. Maybe you can talk with him directly and come up with an idea of what to do with it. And then Christina has a copy that's local to you of the data. So she might be able to help you get the student the data they need.
Good, I'll work on it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and we have to get back to Nick, but Jim is away for an extended period, so
Okay,
I'll get back to Nick on that.
sounds wonderful. Yes, I figured you would probably be interested in that, David.
Right.
What's the spelling on the last name?
HALLPATCH.
Oh, okay.
It's
I
two.
believe it's a
hyphen.
dash.
Oh,
Yeah,
It's a hyphen.
and I know he has a call sign too. I can't remember what it is off the top of my head.
Patch would be capitalized as well.
oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
VE7 Victor Echo 7 Delta X-ray Romeo.
Very nice. Okay. There are no further announcements. Let's jump back in.
Excuse me, his QRZ does not list an email. Do you have it?
I do. You can do,
He posts to him, sorry.
yeah, you can do nhp@ieee.org.
Thanks.
Okay. Are we okay to continue?
Sounds good to me.
Okay. I haven't received any additional information from Dr. Zorman. So the Grape 2 deployment, as I'm, is still in progress, as far as I'm aware.
He asked me yesterday to give him a shipping weight for the Grape 2, which I did.
Perfect.
So it's moving forward.
Okay.
Does the shipping weight depend on the amount of rainfall? Like if the grapes are more plump?
Or if you step on them.
Or what color is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We send them as a raisin, it'll cost less to ship it.
Dry humor.
I do have a question though.
Yes.
Well, it's not a question, it's a I'm having an issue with the Grape 2 that I do have. It's creating a numerous amount of noise to my radio. I am a Mars operator and I do a lot of nets. I am on the radio a lot, and that I usually have a S3 for a noise level or an S2. I have a low noise level. When I turn that unit on, it brings it all the way up to an S8.
I have a
And
solution.
yeah, and therefore I can't hear a lot of weak people on there.
Right. It's
And
probably the switch mode power supply for the hard drive.
well, that it is. It's coming from the hard drive, and I
Yeah.
really like to get that fixed if I can. If not, I
If you can
really
put some
can't-
ferrites on the line coming right out of the supply, that might help suppress it.
Yeah, well, not quite a lot though. It's still I've done
It's
that.
still going to be there. Yeah.
Yeah, I tried everything that there's no place really to ground anything on that hard drive. And so if I can figure out a way, I really
You might be able
wish
to
it
put
had
the
a
hard
drive.
drive into a metal box and ground it. That might help, but there's no guarantees on that. I'm just
True.
pulling at straws here.
Yeah.
Did we identify a linear supply that would
Well, I'm
work?
running the Grape itself off with a linear supply, but it's unregulated.
Right.
And I was hoping to have them run both of them, but the hard drive wants 12 volts DC plus or minus, 200 millivolts.
Right. But there are regulated linear Malwarts out there, or
That
inline
might be the way
supplies.
to go, is trying to find linear wall wart, but you have to have the same current. I think that drive pulls 2 amps.
Yeah, you're going to want at least 2 amps.
Because when it starts up or you do some fast disk thrashing, it sucks on some power.
Yeah, it's hit and miss, but there are some quiet switchers.
Yeah,
Um,
they're more miss than hit.
yeah. Well, we've got a bunch of that are made by K-Tech. I forget what drives they came with, but they seem to be quiet enough I can run antenna preamps off of them.
That's impressive.
I mean, if I wasn't doing any nets or anything like that, I wouldn't mind it, but
No, it should not be interfering with your station. That's not that's not
Are we at a point where do we want to revisit the possibility of using an SSD?
I mentioned that to somebody, and I was told not to bother with that.
We
But
went down
I
that
agree.
path. The reliability long term is an issue. For short term, it's probably for a year would be fine. The issue we ran into was the controller for it kept dropping off because we originally started with an SSD.
Right, but that's the controller for one particular brand, right? That's not all controllers.
Not all, but
Well, it's
one-
it's the SSD that's the problem. They pull very sharp spikes at greater than an amp.
Uh-huh. And
We have
so
the same problem.
Okay. And so the problem is the amount of current the Raspberry Pi can provide?
look, a USB 3 port current limits and shuts down when you exceed 1 amp.
Uh-huh.
And I suspect that's what Gary or David is saying, that's what's killing it.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware that these SSD I was using seemed to be fine, but that, like I say,
What model were you using, John?
I don't remember off the top of my head. It was 1 terabyte.
Are there
Okay.
I think it was Crucial.
Yeah, we
Are
use
there
Crucial and Samsung, and both
Yeah,
are
both of
showing
them.
it.
Is there a commercially available linear wall wart that's regulated that we can recommend?
I do not know of one simply
Uh-huh.
because of the issues of heat, especially at that current.
Yeah, and unfortunately, there's federal regulations that have made them hard to get.
Yeah.
unfortunate.
efficiency ratings.
If you're
Okay,
willing
so-
to do cabling, you could buy a linear supply and wire it, cut the wire off the wall wart and wire it into that. That would work. But I don't know if you are up to that challenge.
Well, not at the moment.
Okay. Yeah, I understand. That's why I'm asking.
Well, definitely try ferrites if you have those available.
I think you
Yeah,
said
I do. I've tried ferrites. It really doesn't touch it, to be honest with you.
I think weren't Joe W7LUX, I think you were about to say you had a solution?
Yes, toroids from Palomar Engineers. I sent Carrie a message here, but they're small. They're maybe 1.5 inch diameter. I don't think they're 2, and as many turns as possible of the output of all of the switching power supplies almost killed the noise here.
Okay.
Yeah, Joe, can you post which toroid you're using? Mix is important.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one specifically provided by Palomar Engineers for wall warts. I'm looking that up right now.
Can you get that information to Gary so he can put it on the website too? Because
Yes.
I think if this is a routine problem, Kung's going to talk in a little bit. We may end up doing a hard drive swap to get the important data back, and he's going to talk about that. And in the process, if this noise situation is an issue, we could possibly, in the process of swapping hard drives, provide people with toroids or something like that, because I think this is an important consideration.
Yeah, and since it's an n squared effect for the number of turns, every turn you add makes a big difference. So as many, 10 versus 7 is a factor of 2 completely different because it's 10 squared.
Actually, it depends on the frequency. At higher
True.
frequencies, it's an n problem. At lower frequency, it's n squared.
Right.
Because at high frequencies, they act resistive. So each turn adds, but goes by n.
As many as possible works here.
Yeah, the more the better.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Basically whatever fits.
Yep.
I'll find
That's
that.
what we do.
Yeah, it's definitely the hard drive because I unplugged everything else and as soon as I plug that in, boom, right up it goes. Yeah.
Yeah, that was done in excessive haste to try and meet the deadline of shipping these things.
Understand.
I originally had the controllers purchased to run the solid state drives, and that was working until I started noticing it was going off south, and then Bill Blackwell noticed they were going south, and then Bill Engelke mentioned that he was having problems with it. So yeah, it's a known issue.
And if anybody don't know my call sign, forgive me, I didn't put it up there, but it's N1URT.
Cool.
So up here in the Maine woods, about 60 miles south of the Canadian border.
Oh, wow.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to get that thing going, and I had a Cobra antenna all set up for it, and was running it. And then this past August, we had that remnants of Hurricane Debbie.
Ooh.
And me and my wife was sitting one evening watching television, and all of a sudden, kaboom, shook a house. So I ran outside, and I have 3 Cobras, and 2 of the Cobras was on a tree that came down, hit the house, but it didn't do no damage.
You were lucky.
And it took my 2 Cobras down that I was using for this particular reason, right? So I have one Cobra left for my, Mars stuff and shares and all that. But, with my back, I just had back operation, and it's pretty slow getting those up. But I wanted to address this noise thing.
Yeah, that's.
And, as soon as I get an antenna up, I'll hook it up. I've got one for the Grape 1. That didn't get hit. That was underneath the eaves of the house. So, but yeah.
Are you close enough to Canada where your Z's are now pronounced Z's?
Well, I'm originally from New Jersey, but I lived
Where in
up
New,
here for a long
where in
time.
New Jersey?
What's that?
We're in New Jersey. I'm from New
Oh,
Jersey.
oh yeah, you know where Sussex County is?
Oh, that's beautiful up there.
Well, I was born in Franklin, right,
Okay.
right next there, right, Franklin. But we moved to Oak Ridge,
Okay.
which is, right down the road,
Right, right.
really, from Sussex. But
Yeah, I'm from Bloomfield, so it's a
oh my goodness, you are.
I am, yes.
Wow, I used to know a animal veterinarian in Bloomfield many years ago.
Really?
I think it was NICAMP.
Okay.
Well, anyway,
Oh,
this was going back, in the late 60s and
yeah, that was well
70s.
before my time.
Well, I was just little at that time, but yeah, I'm familiar with that area. Wow.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we can address your noise concerns and hopefully, you know, I know I think I have some noise issues at my site. I know that Rob Robinette has done some assessment of my site and he's
Well, I'm
said that,
sure you do, Nathaniel. It wakes up every 2 hours and screams.
oh, it does. It absolutely does.
And there's no off switch.
Well, so actually, it's funny you say that because I did find that I showed this on the Monday night Telecon that apparently 40-meter sideband puts the baby right to sleep. And so at the here I'll show my screen for a minute. I was on the Tangerine SDR call and I was holding the baby and
I was there, by the way. I was
yeah.
there, doctor. I witnessed.
I guess this is 20-meter phone, but yeah, that the noise from the radio just puts the baby right to
Oh,
sleep.
that's fantastic. You're training him well.
Yeah. So yeah, sorry, Rachel, you can take the screen share back.
No, you're good. Just wondering if it works on 2.5-year-olds.
You can try
No.
it.
I need to be a little angry about nap times.
Joe, thank you for the link for the Palomar things. I'm actually going to order some and actually do some analysis on
Yes,
that.
thank you
See
very much. Yes.
if
Yeah,
we can use this or if we need to replace it, but I will take that up.
And as I said, we do have a bit of money to possibly do like a hard drive swap to get the data back and
Oh, good.
and so there might also be some, maybe with that, if this is a viable thing, then maybe everyone gets a pack of Feroids along with their new hard drive.
Okay.
Yes, I just posted the different mixes are good for different ranges. And I think these are probably mix 75s because they talk about the low megahertz switching frequencies. But mix 31 is good for the ham bands as a whole. And you can stack them and run the cord through both.
I had a especially severe problem. The Grape was very close to the amateur radio equipment.
Oh,
Yeah, I separated it quite a distance from it. From
Well,
what
even the different parts, opposite parts of the house, it still was a problem.
yeah.
But a 2.4-inch mix, I think it was 75, with a whole bunch of turns on it, absolutely killed the noise from
Wow,
switching.
wow.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
use those out in the field, like specifically South Pole. We have a particular problem, just to mention it, that snow is a very good insulator. And you put snow around a coax cable and it's an inside-out waveguide.
Oh,
oh,
Noise
wow.
from our computers goes out to the antenna.
Oh, no.
Things that happen in extreme environments.
well, up here we used to get in the years ago, 5 feet of snow, 4 feet. I remember one winter we had 3 feet at one time, but the mild temperatures up this way for the last 10 years has been incredible. And We just haven't had the depth of snow
Been-
like we used to have.
I'm in Arizona, northern Arizona in the mountains, and we had 160 inches 2 years ago. That was a problem.
Well, I lived in Apache Junction, Arizona back in 1980, and I remember waking up one morning, my mother says, get up quick, get up quick. And I woke up and we were facing the Dutchman's Gold Mine, the mountain there. And you can literally see the snow coming down at a certain point and disappearing.
Yeah.
At that morning, and you know, coming from Maine, and seeing that, it was incredible.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. I definitely think we should look into these.
Hmm.
Any other questions, comments, or concerns? Yeah. And definitely check back in if you have trouble setting this up or further troubles with noise.
I got to get my antenna up here again.
Yeah, originally had Grape 2 pretty much noise free with the linear supply feeding everything with the solid state drive, but when it started dropping off, that was a scramble to get that thing fixed. So
Sometimes with amateur radio
Yeah.
installation, there's a device called a feed line choke available from a number of different people, including Palomar engineers, that if you put it in your feed line, it will reduce the amount of noise picked up from a off-center fed or other unbalanced antenna coming in. The coax goes along the ground, picks up noise, and if you put one of these near your radio, sometimes that will reduce your noise level. They're feed line chokes, say, available from a number of sources.
Rachel, how much are those? How much would this cost per unit?
it's $17 for a 5-pack.
Okay, and how many ferrets do you want to put on a unit?
30 for a 10-pack.
I would send at least 2 in case somebody drops one. And one's effective, 2's better than an insurance policy.
Hmm.
Yeah, but the number of turns is really what you're after.
Uh-huh.
And you really want them on the same choke for the better effect.
Okay.
The problem is the length of the cord coming out of the power supply.
Right, right. Fortunately, it's pretty small diameter, but you probably get, what, 7 to 10 turns before you run out of cord?
Hmm.
Oh, yes.
So you think putting on 2 per station and try to get as many turns as possible?
Well, like I say, since you have it's like more of an N squared effect at the lower frequencies,
Mm-hmm.
you really want it on the same core.
Right.
So if you put 2 turns on 2 cores or 4 turns on 1 core, there's a factor of 2 difference, or because you
Right.
have N squared. So
Right.
And it's
one core should be enough.
Okay.
But
one
like I
works
said, I'm gonna order
fine.
some and give it a try, see what it
Yeah.
looks like.
I would send 2 to each station, so that they have either a spare or they can stick it on another cord if needed.
Well, the power supply for the Grape, the power supply for the hard disk, the power supply for the video monitor, they all add up.
Yeah, the Grape itself is just a transformer and diode bridge and some capacitor, so that doesn't have any switching noise.
Yeah, the Grape 1 is perfect.
Yeah.
I mean, that thing is just silent.
Yep.
Well, John, are the diodes bypassed?
Internally, I have no clue. Probably not.
Well, they need
Well-
to be, because that's one of the greatest sources of noise is
Yeah, the
unbypassed
leakage
rectifiers.
inductance of the transformer, when it does the zero crossing, those things fly, and then the core resonates. So yeah, I know what you're talking
Well,
about.
it's the I forget what it's called now, but when the diode switches from
Right.
conducting to open, it
Mhm.
creates an incredible amount of hash if it's not bypassed.
Yeah,
I've seen unbypassed wall warts, where the Chinese have left them out, and that's one of the most,
Yeah, the core reason for that is, pardon the pun, but when the diode switches off, the leakage inductance wants to keep flowing, and that causes the
Right.
transformer secondary to sing. So the capacitor gives it a path for the current to wind itself down without it singing.
yeah. Well, but the diodes act like a step recovery diode.
Yeah,
Put up harmonics into the VHF, UHF.
Yeah, again, it's all about slew rate.
And the problem is the cost of a good output filter capacitor.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, low
people
VSR.
may not be aware of this, but when you reverse a normal rectifier, power rectifier, it's actually a short circuit for a moment before it shuts off. So a lot of current flows through it, and then all of a sudden, bang. Great harmonic generator.
Especially the power ones, because you have a larger, it's the capacitance of the junction that's causing the problem.
Right. Well, it's the stored charge,
Yep.
the carriers, stored
Yeah.
carriers in it.
And as the voltage across the junction increases, the capacitance decreases, but it's
Yeah.
worst at 0 volts, which is where you're getting the big problem. So yeah, makes
And
sense.
interestingly, Schottkys do not have that characteristic, but junction diodes do. Great when you want VHF, UHF.
Yeah. Back to you, Rachel.
No, you're good. Assuming that not including shipping or anything, if we buy them in packs of 10, we could probably save a little bit of money.
Okay.
That looks very doable to me.
Mhm.
After
They're
meeting with
they're available in large quantity.
after meeting with my finance person here, if everything they tell me is true, I think it will be just fine. And along with the hard drive swap. So we'll try to so let me know if this is something that we should send out to all of the stations. So maybe you could try it out, report back, and if
Yeah.
this is something that we recommend everyone do.
Yeah.
I think we should do something to mitigate the noise problem, whether it's this or now that we have a little more time. And we're going to do a hard drive swap, does the SSD, is that current problem something that can be solved? Whatever's the best solution, I think we should.
By the way, Carrie, what specific frequencies are you seeing the noise on? Is it 40 meters?
Yeah, 4 meg.
4 megahertz. Okay.
Yeah, because we do 3 through,
Yeah, I know you're just outside the bands, but I
we're
didn't
just
know if you were.
outside, but 4 meg,
75.
4 meg and 5 meg is really loud. But I've gone through other ones too, even the 20 meter, and it still gives noise. Maybe not quite as bad as the 4 meg, but it does. It brings it up some.
Yeah, the lower ham bands here too.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I'll do some sniffing with the system here.
Yeah, I mean, I really like that system. I mean, it's compared to the Grape 1, this Grape 2 is peachy. I mean, the setup is fast, and compared to the Grape 1, going through all those steps. But
yeah, that reminds me. Actually, I have a question about the Grape. My Grape 2. The active light does not seem to be on. Does that mean it's crashed?
It's crashed, yes.
it has.
I'll have
Both
to
lights
restart it.
gotta be going, yeah.
Is there a way yet to see online whether data is being uploaded?
That I don't have an answer.
Somebody mentioned that, I'm not sure if there was or there wasn't, but I'm not sure whereabouts the location where it's being held.
Yeah, the WWV ARC archive, you have to have a login to see the data.
Yeah.
If you have a node number, but yeah, it's.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah.
Although the Grape 2s, I think we're just uploading the 1 second tick files. We're not doing the actual data yet. The digital RF, which is what Kun was working on, it will end up going to Bill Engelke's server, and we're going to be transitioning those all over to Bill Engelke's server or servers. So hopefully,
let's talk about that data conversion if we can yet today, because that's kind of important, I would think.
Yeah, step one is to make sure that all the users of the Grape 1 legacy systems and Grape 2 all have an account on personal space for the station network and have created a station with an instrument.
now do they have to have separate accounts for different grapes if you have more than one?
At this time, well, not separate accounts, but separate stations.
So you can create multiple stations under one account.
Should be able to, yeah.
Okay. 'Cause I've got 5 stations at my house.
I'll tell you what, let me get back to you on that, John.
Yeah. I
I
figured I'm pushing the envelope, and I'd probably be the good one to be the guinea pig to figure this out. So. And I'm thinking I might retire my Grape 1 since the Grape 2s are doing the same thing, and we verified the data looks the same. So that might come down to 2 stations instead of 5. But actually, I got 6 because I got a digital RF station there as well. If I ever spring a data leak in the basement, I'll be swimming.
Well, has anybody notified all of these folks to go in and create an account?
I don't think
Well,
that's.
is now the right time to talk about that? Because yeah, I do have some comments about that.
Yes.
Okay, can I share my screen, Rachel?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, this is an eye test. I don't expect everybody to read the detail on here. Just look at it on a macro basis. So the first step in any data conversion process is generally cleansing the data, getting rid of the dead wood and making sure what's active is active and so on and so forth. So I took John's node list, which is like about 93 or 95 stations long, and began comparing that to what the uploads are and so on and so forth. So anyhow, we've got roughly, let's see here, 25 node numbers that have had no activity on the servers on WWV since July 1st. So
Wow.
I've gone out to most of these people and said, hey, do you want to continue participating? That's fine. You'll get all these emails about the conversion process. If you don't want to participate, that's fine. Let me know. So I'll get to that in a minute. So that's most of these people. This group has not gotten back to me. There's about 20 people I'm waiting to hear from. Obviously, we have about 48 people who are uploading daily, and they're obviously part of the process. Some of the people I went to that are not uploading, they said they want to keep participating in the project. They wanted to keep their node number active, so that's fine. They'll be included in all the email blasts. That's great. There's about 20 or so there. And this count here, which is about 8 or 9, these are the people who said, no, you can have my node number back. I'm not interested in participating any longer. So when we start emailing again, there'll be roughly 50 people who are active and somewhere around another 20 or so that may not
That's
be.
odd because I don't see my name on there. It should be on there for the Grape 1.
Carrie, you're on there. You're on the
I am.
active list. You're on the
Okay.
uploads. Yeah, you're part of the 50.
Good.
So my question is, where are we at on a timeline wise? Because one of the things I would kind of like to avoid is getting people fired up about this process, getting them to create their stations and instruments and so on and so forth, and then not have anything happen for a month or two. And they kind of forget where they're at and they kind of got to get reoriented and so on and so forth. So.
Well, I haven't sat down and tried to make a schedule, a detailed schedule of this, because we still have to work out the fine level details of how we're going to do the transition and upload. I think one of the things we also have to do is, well, step one, it seems to me, based on my discussions with Nathaniel, is that we need to have state accounts and stations created so that we can begin pulling data from Zenodo or wherever we're going to get it from to load the historical data into the system. And that's once the user has an account and station and instrument created, that's all they have to do for a while. Now we can start talking about the details of getting them switched over. But I think, well, there's only so many hours in the day. I mean, what seems to me to make sense, just thinking about it rapidly here, is that we should tell people we'd like them to create an account and station and everything. And once it's created, we know what's there. But let them know that we're going to be transitioning data. They don't have to do anything for that. There won't be anything more for them to do for a while. And while we're doing, once we get that set up and working, it's going to take a while to accomplish it. But while we're doing that, what we can do is we can start doing the planning and how we're going to give them an updated uploader, and figuring out how we're going to get them to install and start doing it up. In fact, we may want to run 2 uploads for a while until this is all straightened out. That does, I don't think, well, if today we're deleting data after doing the upload, that we might have to change that if we're going to do 2 uploads. Or another thing we could, well, depends on the timing in the day. Like the way the current system works is it's chops off everybody's observations at the end of the day UTC. So at 23:59:59, we cut off an observation, start the next one, and then we upload the previous day's observation. But my understanding is the uploading for the legacy systems in the Grape 2 operates on a different timing. Isn't that the case?
I have been spacing out the uploads to the server based on the node number as an offset from 0 UTC. Actually, on the Grape 2s, I'm doing it from, when was that? 2 a.m., 4 a.m.? I don't remember. It was an offset. And then I'm using the node number to give an offset in time. So I'm not hitting the server with all the stations at the same time.
Yeah, we can continue to do that. It's just that well, I guess the question is, are you creating 1 observation per UTC day?
For the data that we're creating for the second tick, yes, it's 1 file. It goes into a transfer directory. If it gets transferred, it gets deleted out of that directory, but the original file is still in another directory. So I'm not actually deleting any data, but I am deleting the transfer files.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, we've got the same thing on the magnetometer. So
yeah, and that's one of the files that's going up with the Grape 2 if it's there.
Anyway, in terms of what to do next, my suggestion would be let's go ahead and tell people that we would like them to create their account, station, and instrument, and let them know that the first step we're going to be doing is pulling over their previous data, and we will get with them as soon as we're ready to do a next step. Does that sound okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so it's obviously very easy for me to see who the active stations are and get them to direct them to the central control system and set things up. There's people who have uploaded in the past who are not uploading currently, and I might not have visibility to them unless I go through all the Zenodo files in 2019, which isn't practical. I got to think about that a little bit. The other thing, Bill, you mentioned, you'd mentioned in one of your emails previously about updating the instructions because we've changed or added instruments for the Grape 1 and Grape 2. Is that still in the works too? Because I'd like to refer people to your document on the Hamside site about how to do that in case they want to read about it before they try it.
Okay, let me go take a look at that today.
Okay, the other thing I'll comment on, there's a question about reuse of node numbers. I would advise against that
So would
because
I.
it's been a manual system, and for instance, there's 2 people uploading under node 0, which John thought was a test node. We've got 2 people uploading under node 92. We've got 1 person that's uploading under one of these node numbers who's not even in your registry list, John. So they've kind of.
Yeah, if they were uploading on node 0, that means they haven't run through the setup procedure.
Right.
And they're so the
I'm
data
just
is
saying.
kind of worthless because you have no latitude, longitude, or anything. You have no idea where it's coming from. So they need to RTFM, read the fine manual.
Yeah, well, actually, some people put everything in except they missed the node number change. But whatever, you've got every possible case.
Yeah, it's all a mishmash.
Well, you say reusing node numbers. Here's the thing. If we have people, well, when you sign up for an account and create a station, it's going to be assigned a new number. A number beginning with S. I did that in order so we could tell the difference between the older N numbers and the new ones. However, I'm envisioning the possibility for a good deal of confusion here if we have, let's say, somebody in a particular location was operating under node 20 with Grape uploads. Now they get assigned S181 or something. Now I want to get their data, their historical data. It's very easy to get a confusion so that I don't know what N number data goes with what S number data, and so it seems to me maybe we need a meeting just to talk about this.
It would make sense to make the mapping 1-to-1 because it'd make your job a whole lot easier. And we wouldn't have any overlaps then. But if you've made assignments on the S list already, we may be in trouble.
Well, let me just think out loud here for a moment. I wonder if it would make sense for me to get a list of all these nodes, especially ones that have historical data out there, whether they're active or not. And for me to just go and create all these accounts and stations, everything with the original Grape 1 N node N numbers, so that when we pull data over, I know where to put it.
I will send you the spreadsheet that has all the Grape 1 and Grape 2 node number assignments and all the data that goes with it. That should help.
But a lot of those people have never uploaded. I mean, maybe a third of them have never done anything.
Never did the homework, huh?
Well, I'm just saying they didn't finish. They got excited, and then that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But if we create some extra accounts, maybe that's not a bad thing either. Maybe that's perfectly fine. That's more Bill's decision. But
yeah, I would prefer. Let's see if we can focus on stations that are active. Either they have, well, there's kind of 2 categories of active. One is a station that created data in the past and is now inactive. I call that a retired station. That's going to have its own status. And then other stations that are active, have been active and are still active, and that's another status. So I guess, well, here's the thing. All of this data that's been created in the past, and for stations, Grape 1 legacy stations that are now retired, is it worthwhile to collect and move their data over? I mean, can we make use of that data in the future somehow? I guess
I would argue yes.
Christina is still using it.
Yes.
Okay.
So that data is, in fact, even on the Grape 2, the format of the once per second Doppler shift is being used.
Okay.
And Bill, I just sent you the file, the XLS file of all the nodes for Grape 1 and Grape 2.
The one thing that's a little bit awkward in all of this is each one of these creates an account on the server, and somehow, if for people who are going to use these, somehow I've got to get a password, the password for that account to them securely. Not sure how to really do that, but Well, I guess what we could do is the following. I could assign some kind of password, but let them know that when they go to use it, they'll have to do a password reset, and then they assign their own password to the account. That would make more sense, I think.
Yeah.
And that seems in line with what most other websites do.
Yes.
I mean, a lot of websites will actually force you. It's got a flag set saying, hey, this is a virgin password. You got to reset it. I don't know if we have that capability or not. We're just depending on the user, which may be okay.
A lot of websites are now just doing email authentication. So you don't even use a password. You just put your email in. It sends you an email. Here's a thing that's good for 5 minutes, and then
Or
it
your phone.
authenticates you that way.
Or your phone, you can do it by SMS. I know a lot of the government sites that I go on is, every 30 days. And you have a
Well-
choice, either email or SMS. So, your phone.
Yeah, we're not going to support, at least not in the foreseeable future. We're not going to support anything to phones,
Gotcha.
because
That's a whole nother ballgame.
That is. I was just saying that some of those places do support that, but
yeah, and it might make a lot of sense, but when I think about our IT department's reaction when I go in and ask them about that, it won't be pretty.
no won't.
They will say, "Oh, you want to do what? All over where?"
Who are you again?
Yeah.
Right. Well,
Do you work here?
They hear from me often enough that they know who I am. They also know I'm a little bit crazy, but maybe not that crazy. Anyway.
Welcome to the club.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have the same thing. So probably the thing for me to do is to work out a proposed plan and send it out to this group for comment. And that way I'll take a look. John, you said you just sent me a list of
Yes.
stations. Do we know what the status does that list contain the status? Whether
Actually, Gary has the status part of it. His modified list has the status. This was all of my assignments. It's the assignment list, and there's 2 tabs in there, one for Grape 1, one for Grape 2.
Yeah, so consider John's list kind of a wish list. We wish people had used all those node numbers, but in reality they didn't. So I can give you something that's a little closer. But again, I don't have all the historical stuff yet. I
Yeah, mine's the
optimistic,
optimistic, and his is the pessimistic list.
Yeah.
It's like the proverbial wish sandwich. You
Yes.
have
Right.
a piece of bread and you wish you had some meat.
Right.
So anyhow, my takeaway from this is I'm glad I've not asked people to go out and do anything yet. We need to think about it a little bit more. So that's fine.
It's moving forward, but this is a pretty big undertaking.
It is. Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and then Christina sent a whole bunch of questions in the chat, which I have not had a chance to. I've been talking, so I haven't read any of these things in the chat yet. So, but let me suggest this: if anybody has any suggestions that are relevant, and this means you, Christina, please email me with the suggestions rather than putting it in the chat, because I can't can't talk and deal with what's in the chat at the same time. So
that's fair. So I just wanted to chime in and say we should update the HAMSci PSWS Python package to pull data from your system. And I wanted to ask Nathaniel, because he's got a couple of branches on the GitHub, what the status of those branches are. Because what I'd like to do is create a new develop branch and start doing work on there.
I might have already made one.
I don't see it.
I haven't pushed it anywhere. I guess we can just merge it. It's fine. Do what you will.
Well, I mean, I'm wondering who all is working on that package and like what the status of things is. Because we can all do code reviews for each other. Like, that's fine, but
I have not touched that code in quite some time, so I don't know exactly what the status is of it. I think probably between you and Rachel, you probably know what the latest version of it is.
Well, hang on though, because there's two branches here.
Very old though.
Yes, but they are more current than the main one, which is the one that's released, and one of them is named Bug Fix. So you understand why I'm reluctant to throw it away. One named Bug Fix and one named DLF, each is one commit further on.
Do you know how to compare the branches?
Yes, and I have, but if you could take a look and see if you want to file a pull request or not, that would be a great help.
Okay, I'll take a look.
And Rachel, you said you might have a develop branch?
Yeah, well, I already started one, but the node numbers have actually been kind of the bane of my existence for that, because part of the structure of the current package is that it has a separate metadata management object, and it pulls like actual information out of that metadata object. So if you say that your node number is 0 by writing it on the file heading, then the package will cheerfully go and fetch the metadata and say, your latitude is 0 and your longitude is 0, and then the map there. And
so basically what we need to do is we need to implement a unit test for that, and we should make that an issue on GitHub.
Is there like a reason for the separate metadata thing? I know it's pretty common for instruments where there's like a fixed margin.
That was something that Nathaniel added.
Okay.
What's that? What did I add?
The separate metadata management system, because it does mean that the package doesn't really quite work unless you have that separate, individually managed spreadsheet that goes with the package.
Right. So all of that will that's probably going to take some work to figure out how we want to update things to work with Bill's system. Because yeah, we probably don't want to have to depend on a separate metadata spreadsheet.
Okay.
I looked at the bug fix branch, Christina. I'll go ahead and merge that in.
Okay.
And I think, let me take a look at the VLF branch. I think the VLF one, the VLF branch is actually identical to the bug fix branch, so I can just delete that one. I think I just added that because I was like trying to add in some VLF plots that Jonathan was doing, or give him a place that he could do that. But they're actually the same commit, so I'll just delete the VLF branch and I'll merge in the bug fix, and then we'll just have a single main branch. And then you can go ahead and create a develop branch.
All right, we can do it that way if you want. That's fine.
Yeah.
And then at some point, this might be something for next week's meeting, perhaps. We should sit down and sort of work out some of the milestones, because I think that we're probably going to want to do an updated, basically some unit tests and error correction for some of these node issues, having the spreadsheet of metadata scrubbed of personally identifiable information and accessible somewhere, because this thing where we're sending around spreadsheets to each other is not a sustainable thing for us to be doing in the long term, and it does compromise the openness of the data.
Yeah, and so I think all of that,
a milestone for kind of getting that stuff going, and then a set of milestones for bringing things in touch with Bill's system.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, we should, yes. Ultimately, yeah, all that like metadata stuff, all that should be managed through Bill's system.
Yep.
Speaking of
we should
metadata,
basically come up with something that can pull those metadata from Bill's system and put it into a mutually agreeable metadata format and connect it back to the data that way.
metadata, are you talking about metadata about the station or metadata about observations?
Both. I believe.
As in metadata about when the observations are taking place, yeah.
Sure,
Yeah, so
okay.
Not
Primarily
like
about
annotations
observations.
necessarily, but
مش مركز اصلا، انا مش مركز، ده حته ثانيه خالص.
The spreadsheets, Gary and John, do they contain the lat long?
Yes,
information?
mine does.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Email address, lat long, latitude, elevation, phone number, address.
yeah, some of
Webs-
those we probably shouldn't be like uploading.
Well, I've kept it
Lat-long-
pretty private. The only people I've ever sent it to is to Gary and to Bill
No, I know, and me.
and you.
But the thing about those is, so okay, as far as I know, the only version of that has been published in a way that people can actually get at all is I published a version that has some station information, antenna information, and lat-long in the ESSD paper. But that's not like computer readable. So we need
Right.
a computer readable version that exists in the package, or probably better, that the package is referencing, that exists in the ham-size Zenodo, and just be able to update that as its own thing. But that version has to not have any personally identifiable information associated. So we can't be putting people's addresses in there.
Right.
We can put lat-long, especially if it's lat-long to 3 decimal places or something like that, in a version that the software can just pull from. Because otherwise, if people don't have the current version of the spreadsheet, they really can't use the data.
Christina, do you want an updated copy of that list from me?
Yeah, I would love to have all the spreadsheets, and
It's
if
on
you
its
guys need
way.
me to reconcile them, I can.
It's 11 o'clock
Yeah.
and I need to go run to put some bits back in my brain before I teach my DSP class. So
FFT flush, huh?
yeah. I gotta do some brain reprogramming.
Uh-huh.
But
Have to get into the Z domain.
You need
Before-
some of the Polypacks proms that used to be available.
you guys are
They were
welcome to keep,
advertised as many bits unburned.
you guys are welcome to keep talking if you like. I will just a couple quick updates before I run. So Christina, Bill Engelke, you should know that I think everyone should be aware that there was a 10% reduction in the allocated budget for the Daisy 2 project. So it was awarded with 10% less than we requested. And I'm actually told this is a good situation because a number of projects are reduced by much more. But the thing is, we do have to be able to operate at 10% less. I haven't completely rebudgeted Scranton yet, like gotten it through the process of making sure my admin's happy with it. But I have looked at this spreadsheet enough to know that I can reconcile all of Scranton's things, and the only thing that effectively changes on the project is that we maybe deploy 25 stations instead of 30. And everything else that we said we would do, we can do within our 10%, but 10% reduction. So I guess Christina, you don't have to get into the details, but Christina and Bill, have you worked or started talking with your respective PIs to figure out how your groups are going to deal with the budget reduction?
No, haven't given it the first thought.
No. Well, Dr. Zorman said that the funds were already sent through CASE and to SSI without any reduction or mention of reduction.
Okay, well, that's good then.
It is?
Well,
I mean, if you
yeah,
give
I mean,
us
if you got
yeah.
if you got awarded your full amount of money, that's wonderful.
I think that may have happened. I don't know what the situation is. So
Okay,
I'm
so
confused. Are
good.
you
So
saying that the 10%, if you were to eliminate 5 stations from that list of 30,
Yes.
then that takes care of 10% overall or 10% of Scranton's portion.
So I actually, if I do that and I cut back on my time a little bit, which is okay because I have other grants that we applied for a number of grants all at the same time and they all got awarded. So basically I'm fully covered, but if I reduce my time by a little bit on that grant and cut back on like 5 stations, then Scranton's portion is within the budget allocation that Scranton got.
Right, but that still doesn't take care of the 10% overall because you need the other sub portions of the grant to reduce as well.
Right, but I don't actually see really what happens with the other grants because like Case, NJIT, Alabama, they each get their own individual grant directly from NSF. So in your case, maybe Case's portion didn't get reduced.
Okay.
Okay, and if that's the case, and Bill, you can check with Travis as well. And if your portions have not been reduced, if you got the award amount that you requested, then that's fantastic. Then you can just move ahead as originally planned. Just let me know that either A, everything's okay, you got all the award you were supposed to, or B, that no, you didn't get everything, there was some reduction, and that you have a plan to address it properly.
Right.
So I mean, I would love it. Yeah, if you guys got all the money you requested, I think that'd be fantastic.
Okay.
So instead of using 8-bit data, we have to go to 7-bit data.
Yeah, that's right. Got that extra bit just
Gone.
gone. Okay, and also Kung and I met this week along with Mark Fenner, and we're the general plan is still that Kung is working on a routine that converts CSV to digital RF without any loss of data. He's going to process the important dates, meaning the eclipse, a couple days around the eclipse. And I think I'm also going to request that he gets the days around the big storm that happened in May. So he's going to process all of those with the data in place, and then have him upload just those few days of data so we can start working with that data right away. And then we're going to have a plan probably to do a hard drive swap. And I think we have enough funds to basically ship everyone a new hard drive and, we'll probably have them send the other hard drives probably directly to Alabama, since that's where the data ultimately has to go. And then we'll probably have Kung work with Alabama so that Alabama will actually load the data onto their servers into the right place.
That would be a lot quicker to have a direct drive access to do that. Yeah, that would be a huge.
Yes. So that's I don't think so. That's just a quick summary of where I think things are going with that.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I want to add something as well. So I do have a timeline for that conversion process, and the plan for that CSV to DRF script to be completed is by October 16. So that's when that script would be my plan for that to be done. And regarding the metadata, the resulting DRF files will have the metadata included within its own structure, so you can pull it directly from there without having to use like an external spreadsheet, which I believe works well with the discussion that we're having right now.
Yeah. Yeah, the important thing is that you have one file or one package, because I guess DRF's more like a package of files, and everything you need for the data is all right there.
The IT term is a single source of the truth. That's what you're after.
All right. Kung, I will reply to your email. Kung, the short answer to your email is I would pick can you do the day of the eclipse plus or minus 3 days?
Yes.
And do you also have the dates for the May geomagnetic storm?
I can look that up.
Okay, yeah, you can get that information from Jason Dare too. So basically ask Jason, what are the dates of the May geomagnetic storm that he wants? And those are the dates that you want to capture from the whole system.
Okay,
Okay?
awesome. Sounds good. Is that also plus and minus 3 days for the storm as well, or is that just
Yeah, it's always good to have a couple buffer days before and after to help give it context. So if
Okay.
that's feasible, yeah.
And those storms last more than 1 day sometimes. don't
Right,
they?
right. Yeah, Jason
yeah.
may want to extend the days after, who knows?
Yeah, so have a discussion with Jason and make sure you capture the whole storm.
All right.
Question
It's
for
more than
Bill
a-
Engelkey. Bill, do you want me to send you the script that the Grape 1 and Grape 2 uses to upload to the WWV IRC server?
Have a good day, everyone. I'll see you later.
Yeah, see
later.
you, Nathan. Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'd love to have a look at it.
Okay, I will send it to you.
Okay, but
It'd be useful.
remember,
It
yeah,
was-
anything that's Python, you gotta change the file extension from py to .txt, otherwise our firewall will kill it.
Okay. Okay,
Thank you.
but I
It
figured
took
that would be
more-
helpful to see what we're doing.
Yes,
It took more than a week for the Earth's magnetic field to settle back down to normal.
Wow.
Took months for
That's
the
the data
ionosphere
from
to
Japan,
change.
that research station in Japan.
Wait till this storm comes around. Wait till this new storm coming. Was it coming tomorrow, is it? Tomorrow?
Very soon. You mean the one to go across the panhandle of Florida?
That's gonna be a monster.
Yeah, my brother lives in Jacksonville. That should be
Ooh,
hunker down.
yeah,
Lots and lots and lots of water.
yeah, they're used to it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're expecting 2 to 4 inches, or maybe even 5 inches up here. If you look at the Hurricane Center, it's going to stop right on top of my head.
Oh, that's
Oh,
bad.
man.
Some are gonna get 8 to 12 inches.
Yeah.
And then there's the 20-foot storm surge.
Mm-hmm. Got a boat? If you don't, better get one.
Yeah. I gotta go, folks.
Yeah.
I'll see everybody. Everybody have a good week.
And I'll send you that file, Bill.
okay, thanks very much, John.
Sure.
Yep.
We'll be in touch. Take
Yep,
care.
yep,
7
bye-bye.
3s.
7 3.
73.
73s.